All right? So let's talk about this would be chapter 5, right? States of consciousness. My word for you is be here now. We have 2 chapters in a row now that talked about focusing. If you know how to get into a zone and stay there, if you are a sensual person and can be one with your food, okay, or with the person you're with, or your music, or whatever else, okay, what winds up happening, you are entering into an altered state of consciousness. So in this chapter, what we want to do is we want to talk about sleep, dreams, hypnosis, meditation, and then the last one, which would be drugs. Okay? And how all of those can actually alter the way you perceive the world through changes in consciousness. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Let's talk about consciousness. Altered states of consciousness. You with me, right? All right, if you are with me, you are fully conscious, you know what's going on, you're listening. You're right there with me. Fully conscious, know what's going on. The opposite of consciousness is unconsciousness. Unconsciousness can be deep, deep levels of sleep, pretty close to being unconscious, but the best example I can give you is one of 2. One would be a coma. If you're in a coma, you're completely unconscious about what's going on, have no memory of, no sensory impression of what's going on. And the other one, some of you may have experienced, and that is if you've ever had full anesthesia, okay, where you had some operation, or maybe you had your wisdom teeth taken out, and you were like, you were knocked out. And then when they take you out of it, you wake up and you go, whoa, that was quick. And what was that, about 10 seconds? I was gone? No, you were out for about 2 hours. Okay? Because you have no recollection of ever really experiencing what? Consciousness during that time. You're just gone. It's not even like when you sleep. When you sleep, you still know you know, oh, I was asleep because you went to stage 1 sleep, went back down, you're in and out of sleep. Sleep isn't that way. But anesthesia and a coma would be complete unconsciousness. Consciousness, awake and alert with me. Unconsciousness, just completely gone. No memory of what's going on, no sensation whatsoever. In between those 2 is called an altered state of consciousness. You're altering that state that's there. These are very, very easy to get into. Okay? You go in and out of these all day long. And you know who does it the most? Children go in and out of altered states all day long. You know, they're just kind of dazed out. And you go, Johnny, what? And they come back. They just kind of drift in and out of these states. They're conscious, okay, but they're not fully paying attention to things. If you've ever gotten in your car and you said, yeah, I need to go over to Central Expressway, then go south, and you just got into thinking about stuff, and you were driving, then next thing you know, you do one of these, you kind of shake your head and you look up, and the sign says Mesquite, the next 2 exits. You drove right by it. Don't even remember driving by it. Now, a better one is going to be you take the same road home every day from school and or work. You get in your car from work, you drive home, before all of a sudden you're home and you have no recollection of stopping at lights, getting in and off of LBJ or whatever else. What happened to you? You were in an altered state of consciousness. You were conscious. Now, you did stop at the lights and do everything else. It's just that your mind drifted somewhere else. You were in an altered state of consciousness.
Is that bad?
Is it bad? No, but your reaction time is just a little slow. It's a little slower. Now, if somebody pull in front of you, what usually happens is that, remember the reticular system? Anything is new, strange, different, you'll pay attention to. If anybody pulls in front of you, you'll come out of that state real quick. Okay? But you could be a split second behind. Anybody still read fiction? Yay, one person. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, good. Have you ever really got into a good book and before you know it, 2 hours went by and you're like, wow, And while you're reading, you see the characters. You may smell the food they're eating. Okay? You feel their emotions and everything. You come out of it and you go, when you stop reading, you actually are that character, and your brain has to stop for a while to figure out, no, it's not real. That's an altered state of consciousness. In an altered state of consciousness, you also have what's called time distortion. You don't realize 2 hours went by. You think it was just 10 minutes or something like that. Okay? Have you, what else? Altered states of consciousness. Oh, how about this one? You know, when you really get into studying, and you're so into studying because it's so much fun that you sit down and study, and you start studying, before you know it, 4 hours go by? No, that's never happened. Okay. Well, that would be an altered state of consciousness. And by the way, it helps you remember things. If you can induce an altered state of consciousness while you study, because what are you doing? Becoming one with, being here now, concentrating, focusing. Then when you take your test, if you can induce that state again and fully focus, that information comes out pretty darn quickly. Pretty darn quickly. Okay? Have you ever had really, really good sex? And while you're having really good sex, it felt like it was going on for 2 hours? Don't answer that question. I don't want to know. Okay? That would be an altered state of consciousness. You were just there with it. Lots of examples of, those of you who are musicians. Okay? Musicians, and you just started flowing, playing your music and stuff. That's an altered state. Athletes, if you get into a game and you're playing basketball and all of a sudden the first period is over with, the horn goes up and you go, whoa, what happened? Okay, you don't remember anything. You don't even remember the crowd cheering and yelling and screaming for you or laughing at you, whatever, or booing you, because you were just there. Did you ever hear professional athletes say, does it bother you when so-and-so says that? I didn't hear them. Because they were just there. Artists who all of a sudden have an inspiration and boom, they get into their work, and 7 hours later, okay, they're like, well, what happened? It's an altered state of consciousness. Did I give you enough examples? All right, let's talk about different types of altered states of consciousness. And the first one we want to do is called sleep. Oh, did you get a good night's sleep last night? I did okay until about 1 a.m. Then I just woke up, boop, and I started thinking. And that was my problem, right? I started thinking about stuff. And I should have just turned on the light, read my book, okay, woke up my wife, okay, but instead of just laying there thinking about things. Do we need sleep? Shakespeare said, what is sleep for? It's sore labor's bath and palm of hurt minds. And what does all that mean? Well, he says we need sleep because it replenishes your body physically, right? In case you have aches and pains, you're too tired. And two, what happens is that sleep also calms you down. It helps people who are anxious and overwhelmed with things. Dreams especially help you with processing any type of conflicts that you might have. So do we have a need for sleep? According to Shakespeare, we did physically as well as emotionally. What we know is that sleep also helps us in the formation of memory. The best way to study utilizing sleep is to study, then get a good night's sleep. Then wake up the next morning, review, and take your test right away. Okay? Because sleep helps you in the consolidation of memories. 3, okay, if you don't get sleep, what happens? It reduces your immune system. Your body is not fighting off colds and things like that, reducing the immune system. We also know that there's a correlation between weight gain and lack of sleep. Weight gain and lack of sleep. Isn't that an interesting one? Weight gain and lack of sleep. And then 5, we need sleep because if we don't get it, it may impair our cognitive functionings. We're not thinking as well. By the way, there's a very high correlation between depression and lack of sleep. Very high correlation between depression and lack of sleep. All right, so we do need sleep. 1. 2, what happens when you don't get sleep? Sleep deprivation. So who stayed up 24 hours? Right? A lot of you have, right? What was it like after 24 hours? It is a cycle. It's not like a cycle. Yeah.
It's like really, really bad, but once you get past a certain point, it feels like you just woke up.
Just woke up, right? Because it's circadian rhythms, right? And what happens during the day, you get real tired and exhausted, and then boom, you spring up again.
Feel high.
You feel high. Yeah, you do. All of a sudden, everything is just kind of buzzing along on you, right? And even sometimes it feels like there's a little veil in front of your eyes. You're not seeing things that clearly. Now, you're in the military, right? Don't they train you, okay, to be able to get quick sleeps and wake up like that? They put you through, your training is to put you through sleep deprivation. By the way, anybody going into the medical fields, they also try to do that too. Because if you're going to be a doctor, you have to be able to get 3-4 hours of sleep, get an emergency call, boom, wake up and function right away. So they try to train you to do that. That's not easy to do, okay? But you can do it. Who else wants to tell us? Yeah. You become hallucinogenic. Not usually after 24 hours.
If you say it's bad.
Yes. Yeah.
They having you do a lot. Sometimes you do 24 to 48 hour duty, standing guards or whatever. Then after a while, you start acting that something there that's really not there.
Exactly. Do you hear what he said? That's great. That's what I was going to say next. And usually, it's usually almost guaranteed if you're staying awake for 3 days, 72 hours, pretty much guaranteed you'll start hallucinating, seeing things that are not there. That's why in the military they try to train you to do quick naps to get down to deep levels of sleep quick to relieve that. Yeah. 48 hours, sometimes people hallucinate. Most of the time, though, your cognition is impaired. You're not thinking very, very clearly. Your reaction time is a little slow. Sometimes people have a waking sleep, it's called. Their eyes are open, they're functioning, they're going on, but part of their brain is just kind of shut down after 48 hours. We have to have sleep. Infants, boy, they sleep most of the day, don't they? And then as they get older, they usually take a nap in the morning and the afternoon, sleep 10 hours at night. As they get older, it's 10 hours at night, and then usually one nap during the day. Then they get out of the nap, sleep 10 hours, then 8 hours, okay? Then you become an adolescent, and your brain goes through so many changes that your circadian rhythms are off, and two, adolescents sleep less, okay, than anybody else. And they have a tendency, okay, to stay awake longer into the night and not function very well in the morning. Okay? That's just the way the adolescent's brain works. Okay, that's right. But they need more sleep than a 10, 11, and 9-year-old needs. Isn't that interesting? But most adolescents don't get it, right? We're too busy during that time doing different things. Did you know some high schools now are getting rid of first period before 9 o'clock, okay? Because they find that the students just don't do very well, adolescents especially, before 9 o'clock. Let the elementary school kids go at that time. They're more awake, but adolescents are not.
In some parts of Central and South America, they have schools that choose different times, so in the morning and the afternoon.
Back home in Europe, too.
In Europe, too, yeah.
It's like 7 to 12 and 12 to 5.
Good.
And you don't get breaks in between classes.
You just go. Yep, different countries have different ways of doing that. They do that here in this country too sometimes when they have overcrowded schools, though. But. All right, sleep deprivation. So we made our point, right? We all need sleep. Now, just because I'm talking about sleep doesn't mean you need to go to sleep right now. So stay with me. On the average, I sleep what per night? On the average, and we'll talk about your sleep patterns.
Do nap counts?
What's that?
Nap counts?
No, but we're going to talk about naps. And we'll talk about it right now, actually. Naps are very good. You hear what I said? If you can learn to take a nap, and I don't mean 2-hour naps, that's not a nap. Okay? We're talking 15, 20-minute naps. Okay? Now just closing your eyes, and I'll do stages of sleep in a while. Just closing your eyes, drifting off. It replenishes your system. Cognitive functioning is better. Wake up, go on your way. Okay? Hard to do for a lot of people. Right?
30 minutes.
What's that?
30-minute nap.
30 minutes, not bad. That's a power nap. That's the. A lot of people, 30 minutes is longer, and they get a little groggy, okay, when they do it. But if it works for you. All right, so what do we have in this class? Number 3, 6 to 7 hours. Boy, you people are busy. The average is 6 to 8 hours. Most people get 6 to 8 hours and function well. It really depends on you. Some people are called long sleepers, and they're used to sleeping, like my one person in here who gets 10 to 12 hours, that 2% that's there. They're used to that, okay? And they have to get that. Most of the research says there's a tendency for it to be genetic, that it may run in your families. That one person who sleeps that long, okay, if we talk to your parents, we may find you even did that when you were a little child. Okay, you've done that forever. Your body just needs that sleep. Go to the other section, number 5. Some people get 4 hours of sleep. Wow, that's not much. Now, if those of you get 4 hours, that Monday through Friday, then Saturday and Sunday you get 14 hours, because some people do that. But to get 4 hours a night, 7 days a week, boy, I'd love that. That gives me 20 hours a day to do stuff. Wow. That's pretty good. I'll ask that person, do you function very well? Or is it because you're working, going to school, you're a parent, on and on, you're forced to only get that much sleep? Okay? 6 to 8 hours is the average. Get less than that or more than that, it's usually not normal that's there. Okay? And by the way, you can change this. If you're used to getting 8 hours and you want to go to 7 hours, you can learn to do that. The simple way of doing it is get up an hour earlier. Don't go to bed, okay, an hour later. You want to get up an hour earlier, forcing your body to wake up earlier. If you do that every day for about 30 days, your body will begin to acclimate and change your rhythms. But in that 30 days, you may get real tired in the middle of the day because you're not used to that just yet. These are called your circadian rhythms that are there. So most people get 6 to 8 hours. That's normal. Okay? Sometimes you can train yourself to get less. That's there. Taking naps, you can get 5 to 6 hours if you take a nap a day. Like I said, 15, 20 minutes.